Hello, welcome to another video from Homesteading Off the Grid. Today we're going to show you how to properly start a wood stove fire. This sounds like a simple process, but for those of you who have tried it or who are new to it, you know there's really nothing simple about it. That's because there's more to it than just lighting a fire inside your stove and everything working out perfectly. The biggest battle you face when you're starting a wood stove fire is the difference in air pressure due to temperature. Inside your house, it's nice and warm. And so I'm going to go ahead and open our wood stove because this is an important part of what I'm getting ready to talk about. You've got warm air in your house, but all the air outside is cold. So even though warm air rises, the cold air outside comes down, and it comes down through your flue. Now you want to open your wood stove doors first. You want to make sure your stove is clean. You don't want to have any ash in there. I've already got my kindling and my tinder in here, and that's to save time for the video purposes. But you want to leave your doors open for about 10 or 15 minutes to let your stove kind of what we call preheat, and to get that warm air starting to build up in your flue to offset that cold air coming down. Now, if you'll glance over this way, we're going to show you the three important parts of the wood we use. For kindling, we just use sticks. We go out in the yard and collect sticks, break them up every other day or so. If you don't have a lot of trees in your yard, maybe you have a neighbor that would give you permission to take their sticks, or you could go to a park. There's a million places to get sticks. Just don't go out and start hacking down somebody's trees or breaking off their limbs or doing that in the park. Then, of course, we have our firewood. We burn mostly white oak, walnut, and locust. We cut most of our own. We have 6 acres. We have access to a lot of trees. We don't take down healthy trees for firewood. Sometimes large limbs fall or big trees die, and we'll take those down. And we probably have enough fallen timber on our land to last us the next 2 or 3 years. Not everybody has that opportunity, so we do buy some of our wood occasionally. And what we found last winter, and we live in kind of a pricey area in Central Virginia, and firewood sells for about $140 a truckload. We bought some because we were running low. But this year, we bought our firewood in July because it was half price. We were getting it for $70 a truckload because the people that sell firewood wasn't making any sales. And that gave us 4 or 5 months for it to set out in our field and season and dry fully before we started burning this winter. Now, over here, thirdly, I have these little blocks. And this is a little trick I've learned when starting our fires. I'm going to show you when we start the fire today in the wood stove. We have a 16-inch or an 18-inch wood stove, so our actual firewood lengths are about 16 inches. These are cut to about 8 or 10, and I'm going to show you why here in a minute. Now, something I want to add about your wood. Let's say you have your sticks for your kindling, your firewood, your starter blocks. You're going to learn my secret here in a minute. You want to make sure that your wood is preheated before you try to start your fire. That doesn't mean bring it in, lay it by the heater, or set it on a burning wood stove, which is a fire hazard, or put it in the microwave or the oven. All it means is that you need to bring it inside your house and let it reach room temperature. If you're keeping your firewood out on your back porch or out in your backyard, that's fine for your mass storage, but you need to keep a couple days worth in your house, because if it's 25 degrees or 30 degrees outside, that's the same temperature as your firewood and your kindling. And you bring that in and try to put it into your stove to start a fire, it's not going to start. It's going to take that wood a couple of hours to warm up to room temperature. Especially if it's below freezing, it might take longer. And if you have a fire that's raging in your wood stove already and you're bringing cold wood in from outside, you're actually going to put out your fire. So that's a common mistake a lot of people make. Now, we had our doors open for quite a while before we started this video. So we're at a point now to where our stove is preheated. We've got some warm air up in the flue. The block I showed you, I'm going to grab the phone here from my beautiful wife. And I'm going to show you, it's kind of dark in there, so you might not be able to see it. But back here, here's the end of it. I've got a walnut block, one of these 8-inch lengths. Now, here's the width of our stove, or the length, whichever you want to call it. I run this perpendicular because fire needs oxygen to burn. It's part of the fuels that it needs. And so I put this little block back here so that when I set up my tinder, which for tinder we use junk mail. We don't have as much of that as we did 20 years ago, but there's still too much of it. Then we lay our sticks on top of the paper for our kindling, and they create sort of a ramp right here. Well, this allows oxygen to go underneath the sticks, and then when we lay our larger firewood on top of the flame, once it's ready for the larger firewood, oxygen can still go underneath because it's resting, again, for a better view, on one of these small blocks of wood. Okay, if you're trying to start a fire on a flat surface, it's probably not going to get enough oxygen to succeed. So, now I'm going to hand the phone back to my wife so she can capture all this, but what I want to show you first is that opening and closing your doors to different degrees while you're starting your fire is very important, because these work as a carburetor to control airflow. So now, hand this back to my wife. So, these work great because you can reach back and not burn yourself as you're lighting your fire, but ours doesn't work anymore. So, I'm using this, paper, and a lighter. These are like $3 at the store in town. We're half an hour out. I'm not running in for one of these yet. I'll get one next time we're in, and I'm not buying one for $8 at the gas station down the road. So when you start lighting your fire, you want to actually, you're going to get a little bit of smoke in your house. It's just par for the course. But you want to light this thing out here, or if you're using this, you want to go out here, because when you stick it inside this stove, there's actually a breeze in here right now created from the cold air trying to come down the flue and the warm air trying to go up the flue. There's a draft in there, and it might put your fire out. So bear with me. If we weren't making a video, I'd get this fire going perfectly the first time, but since we're making a video, see? And that happened, not because my paper wasn't lit, but because of that draft going on in here. So I'm going to get this in here, hope it works. Yep, I got enough paper sticking out there to get that one. Now, I need to control the draft or the flow inside this stove with these doors nearly immediately, or your fire is just going to go out over and over and over. Okay, this isn't impossible, but you really have to know what you're doing here. I can feel the draft with my fingertips right here, as small as this space is. So that fire was almost out, just the paper, but by closing this and stopping that breeze in there, the breeze didn't blow it out. But now it needs a little more air, so I'm going to give it a little bit more air. I got some other paper. This requires patience. Don't get frustrated with yourself, because there's so much more to it than just simply starting a fire. You can see through the glass doors, I'll move my knee, the paper's starting to catch in there. Now, when this thing gets going, you want to wait before you put your larger wood on the fire. These sticks will burn up fast. Your kindling is going to burn up fast, but you want it to. It's starting to catch really good in there. Now, if I open these doors and say, look at my fire, it would go out. Because right now we're fighting that battle between the air pressures created by the difference in air temperatures. That cold air doesn't want to lose. It's trying to come down this chimney while the hot air created from this small fire is trying to push it out. So here's cold air, here's hot air. They're meeting, they're starting to twist like this. And the draft and the breeze inside your stove is actually becoming greater. And that's where knowing how to use your doors as a carburetor, like, you can't tell this from the video, but I put my hand right here. I'm not feeling hot air coming out from this fire. I'm feeling air being sucked in to the carburetor, and I'm feeling cold air being pushed out, actually, from that battle. So I'm going to give it a little more oxygen right now, because it looks like it needs a little bit more. And you can work these back and forth as you see fit. Now, if you close it all the way, your fire will go out because it's not getting enough oxygen. So you can see it dying down. So I'm going to open it back up, give it a burst of oxygen. That's more fuel for the fire, pun intended. And so it's catching up really good. And we're not going to take an hour to show you this entire fire, but we don't need it. A couple more minutes ought to do. That's good right there. Your kindling is blazing hot right now. I can still feel a bit of cold air coming out from where the air temperatures are fighting inside the flue. But you've got to push that hot air up through the flue to get the cold air out of the flue, or your fire's not going to burn. Now, once this kindling is caught really good right now, and you look at it and your gut's going to tell you to put some larger sticks on the fire. If you open these doors and you do it too soon, your fire's going to go out. So you want to wait. You want to wait until your kindling actually looks like it's going to start almost dying out. And you want to have your kindling, your sticks, your tinder, you want to have everything ready and right there beside you. Taking 10 minutes to set everything up properly before you start messing with your fire means you can start your fire, as you saw in this video, and as I'm surprised myself, you can do it in one attempt. But if you have to rush over and say, oh no, I need this, or now I need that, I mean, it could take you an hour. You'd be so frustrated. You call out a chimney sweep, you think something's wrong with your chimney. There's nothing wrong with your chimney. It's science. I'm not a scientist. But it's just you got to get that hot air going up, pushing the cold air out. And it looks like we're winning the battle here. So now when you open your doors, you don't want to open them both. You'll get a bunch of smoke in the air, but you kill that draft too. But I'm going to open one just enough to put a little bit of larger sticks on there, and then I want to get them closed back as quickly as I can. And now you see the flames getting bigger again. Those will catch. From there, after that, I might add a few more sticks just to have more coals, but within the next 5 minutes or so, I'm starting to put on my larger wood. And this is going to burn. It's not going to go out. We're not going to have a problem with it because we've won the battle of air pressure, which is due to the difference in air temperatures outside the house versus inside the house. Follow these steps and you should probably never, maybe not have a problem starting a wood stove fire again. Thanks for joining us on Homesteading Off the Grid. Oh,